We're joined now by Andrew Rigie, the Executive Director of the New York City Hospitality Alliance. So the big issue for you right now is the new outdoor dining proposal, I guess you would call it, that the mayor and the city council are looking at. Do you think this is a good bill, or do you think it's going to be difficult to implement?
No, we think it's a historic agreement between the mayor and the city council. We have an outdoor dining program now under the permanent proposal that's going to cut the bureaucracy, the red tape. It's going to cost a lot less money for restaurants to have outdoor dining when you compare it to the pre-pandemic sidewalk cafes. And thousands of restaurants that were never even eligible to have outdoor dining will now be able to have a sidewalk cafe and also opt for the roadway, which was really unimaginable before the pandemic. So the legislative process is about compromise. There are certainly things we would have liked to have seen that weren't in the bill. But overall, it's going to be such a better outdoor dining program than we ever had before.
But there are those who are saying that it could cause them to go out of business because they're going to have to remove the sheds during the winter.
So that's one of the sticking points. Our position would be we would much rather have 8 months of roadway dining with the streeteries than having no roadway dining at all. So I think we need to see the bill does allow for a quite lengthy transition period so restaurants can continue to operate the roadway dining they have now while the city processes their permanent application, and hopefully the design guidelines and standards will be done in such a way where it's not going to pose these huge burdens on restaurants. But we do understand that many do have concerns about the seasonality.
Well, some also are concerned about the red tape involved. If you're in a historic district or in a landmark district, there's lots of them. There's over 37,000 landmark properties, and you could have to have a city council hearing if you want to be near any of these things are in a historic district, all 156 of them.
Yes.
So doesn't that add a little bit more red tape?
So there's definitely additional red tape, but my job doing this, I have to learn the ins and outs. And actually, sidewalk cafes always had a landmark component. It's more about notice. And the part when it comes to landmarks, they're actually reducing some of the red tape compared to sidewalk cafes before. Now it's about a 10-day process where the city will have to, in this case, landmark, kind of review, accept that application. So again, far from perfect, but especially when it comes to landmarks, it's better than it was.
What's the effect going to be in low-income neighborhoods?
Well, I think in many neighborhoods, including low-income neighborhoods, restaurants couldn't even have sidewalk cafes before the pandemic. So now thousands of more will be eligible. We hope that's an economic boom for those local small businesses. We hope it helps create more jobs. And we hope it gives folks in those communities the opportunity to dine al fresco like folks do in other neighborhoods around the city. So we think this program, in addition to cutting red tape and reducing the fees, is also much more equitable because people that could never have outdoor dining, whether a business owner or someone living in a community, now can. They don't have to go to someone else's neighborhood.
So let's talk about the asylum seekers and the open arms that the hospitality industry is extending to people who are coming here for the first time looking for work.
Yeah.
You made an impassioned plea the other day for the federal government to speed up the work permits. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, people are here legally seeking asylum, and we know immigrants historically have been the backbone of the city's restaurant industry, even going back to my great-grandparents who came here and ended up opening up bakeries. So they are the backbone of the industry. Right now, it's a shame. We have a crisis on our hands. There are adults with their children who are here, but they're not able to work. So not allowing them to work is only going to exacerbate the crisis. Restaurants are operating short-staffed. They can't hire enough people locally. They want to hire these migrants, give them an opportunity to make money, take care of their family while their application for asylum is pending. It makes so much sense. We really need the federal government just to act.
How many jobs are available?
Well, the city's restaurants and bars still employ about 10,000 fewer people than they did before the pandemic. So we don't know exactly how many jobs are available. I estimate the number is in the thousands. And when I speak with most restaurant bar owners throughout the 5 boroughs, so many of them are operating short-staffed, can't find people. Say, please, give me the opportunity to lawfully hire these folks.
What kind of jobs are we talking about? Are we talking about dishwashers? Are we talking about, waiters?
It's all across the board. You could have dishwashers, porters, line cooks, you know, if people can, you know, have a good grasp of the English language or even somewhat, they could work front of the house, they could be bussers, they could be servers. There's really so many different job opportunities in the industry, so it really is what's the right fit for the person, but there's definitely a lot available.
What about training?
Well, you know, one of the great things about the restaurant industry is, you know, if you have the right attitude, we can teach you a lot of the skills pretty quickly, but I've also spoken with some of the folks, and many of the people that are here actually may have restaurant experience, may have food service experience. And that's the great thing about the restaurant industry. It's kind of like the great equalizer. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're from, what your experience, your skill set is, you can find a job that suits you. And then there's also the opportunity to rise through the ranks and make more money.
You know, the other day the mayor also spoke about the fact that some people have come here and because they can't get work papers, they're still working in some form of restaurant industry, but he called it like the underground economy where they're not being paid the same wages, they don't get health benefits. Could you talk about that?
Sure. So, you know, one of the things I hear from restaurateurs all the time is they want to lawfully hire people. And we know it doesn't just apply to this migrant situation, but in general, when people are working off the books, they're subjected more frequently to exploitation, to not being paid properly, and they're operating in the shadows. So what we're saying is let people that want to work, want to contribute to New York City, want to contribute to society, and those small business owners that want to hire them legally, do the right thing, pay taxes to help support all of these essential services, to do so. So if people are just working in an underground shadow market, exploitation, and it's really helping the employers that are going to do whatever they want to do anyway, and it's not helping all the good employers. They're saying we want to provide these people opportunity, we just want to do it lawfully.
What you're really saying is that this would enhance the restaurant industry in New York City as well. Maybe let them stay open longer hours, maybe let them have better service.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about it, and everyone that goes out and eats probably sees their favorite restaurants are often closing earlier, they're opening up later. There's a diner on my corner, and that's the situation. Sometimes you're waiting, the service may not be as good as you remember. It's not because the restaurant doesn't care or they don't need to operate longer hours to make money. It's just they don't have the people. And many of the people that are currently working are working so much because they're trying to keep up. But you need bodies, you need people. And it's a 24/7-hour business in so many ways. So, you know, you're working nights, weekends, holidays, around the clock. Even when you close, people come in to prep stuff at night, get the restaurant ready for the morning. So we need people, and there's people here that want to work and want to support their families.
So how do you feel about the move towards more technology in the hospitality field? I just read that a place in Brooklyn was thinking of hiring a robot to make coffee, a robot barista. And that's just the beginning.
In Vegas, there's a famous robot that's like a bartender and flips the bottles and everything. And I mean, I think technology is inevitable. There's a lot of ways that it's enhancing operations for restaurants, you know, which is good. I think particularly in the full-service restaurant industry, it's about hospitality. It's that human connection. It's why people go. So I think there's certain jobs that really are not going to be subject to technology that we don't have to worry about. But there are other restaurants that are looking at the cost, the labor cost, the real estate cost, the pandemic-era debt, and all of these other challenges like inflation, making it more and more expensive. And if it works for their concept, particularly in more fast casual, limited service restaurants, you know, you can use a robot, or you're already seeing it. Instead of a person taking your order, you go up and you actually type in the order yourself. So it's kind of like you're working at the restaurant, but then you get to pay for your meal and eat it.
Well, I just read that the former owner of Chipotle now wants to automate, start a new restaurant concept where he says that he could have only 3 people, humans, run the restaurant. The rest would be automated and robots.
Yeah, I mean, that's really kind of the limited service, fast casual model, fast food model, where so much of it can be automated. I think in the full service restaurant, you still want to have that human aspect. You still want to sit down, have someone talk to you about the menu, ask questions, but you even see some changes there where instead of maybe the server coming over and taking your check to pay and then bringing it back to you, you can pay right there from the table on your phone, or you scan a QR code. So there are certain things that maybe aren't replacing jobs, but they are eliminating some of the more kind of repetitive tasks, making it a little bit more easy. But certainly in those limited service restaurants, I think we're going to see more and more of those jobs be eliminated when they can be replaced by a touchscreen or a robot.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have to leave it right there, but we'll be right back.